Well, good evening and welcome to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960 AM. Every night, Monday through Friday at 6 o'clock, I have the pleasure of bringing you interesting interviews with some interesting, fascinating Canadians. And tonight is going to be very interesting because I'm going to bring you Barb McBean. Barbara is the founder and president of Eternal Beauty Institutes. It's a school that we're going to hear a little bit about tonight. Plasma Lift Technologies, Inspire Me 360, and several other companies. She's been working for over, and you won't believe this when you see her, for over 28 years. She started her first job at age 10, became a business owner at a very young age, owning a chain of tanning salons in the mid-1980s called Baja Suntan Studios. She competed in the Miss Universe pageant in 2005. That'll be interesting to ask her about. And she's put together many large charity galas, including the Vita Ball to benefit young women with cancer, the Smile Concert at Alberta's Children's Hospital, and the Omni World Tour cheerleader benefit for Natasha Gould at the Grey Eagle Casino. She's also the author. She's contributed to a recent release of I Am a Brilliant Woman and has her own full-length novel to be released in 2021. Hopefully the first of many. She has a passion for entrepreneurship, philanthropy, writing, and we're going to hear a little bit more tonight about the Eternal Beauty Institute. Barbara, welcome to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour.
Awesome. Well, it is good. Thank you so much for having me.
So tell me, how did you get started in business and particularly this business?
So obviously, like you said, I have been working from a really, really young age. I've just always been really entrepreneurial. When I was younger, obviously my mom's single mom. So we started out doing fruit markets on the weekends. So we would bring all of our big boxes of fruit, set up on the side of the road or whatever farmer's market have you, and sell our goods to the local people here in Alberta. And I guess that's pretty much how I got going with the idea of entrepreneurialism.
The fruit market.
The fruit market, absolutely.
And were you a good salesperson?
I think I was. Even at like 10 years old, I'd be up on the strawberry boxes yelling, telling people that we had some good deals on strawberries and peaches and everything else. So yeah, I think I started in sales at an early age.
And how did you get into the sun tanning business?
So I actually was working in oil and gas. I was a contract worker there. And one of the girls I was working with were selling her salons. And I thought, I was young and excited to jump into business. So I bought the chain, and it was sort of my first dip into entrepreneurialism. But I guess sort of when everybody started getting afraid of skin cancer and all those things, I sort of bowed out of that industry and decided to go into something a little bit more safe.
And was that then when you started this business, or was that after Miss Universe?
So that business, the tanning salon, was right around the Miss Universe time. Absolutely. Okay. And then I definitely took a hiatus. I had some of, I would say the more the years where I had more obstacles, and I was just kind of finding my footing. So we all go through that during our lives. And that's kind of when I hit some of the roadblocks, some of the stumbling things that have, made me stronger and made me, I believe, quite good in business, because I'm used to rolling with the punches and whatever comes.
And then tell us about Miss Universe. What was that experience like?
So it was interesting. I didn't really go into the pageant because of wanting to be in a pageant. I was actually at Kwantlen University in Vancouver, and I was volunteering at 2 or 3 organizations, and I just loved the idea of being a part of the World's AIDS organization and just all of the philanthropy that Miss Universe represents. And so I kind of came at it from that angle. And then I got into the pageant, and I realized it was a lot more about probably the superficial side of things. And, it was an interesting thing to do, an interesting endeavor, but not something I would go back into. I think it taught me a lot about just that I want to put my intelligence first. And, walking around in a bikini on a stage is really not something that is my forte, I guess.
I guess I have to ask, did you run into Donald Trump during the time period?
You know what? I didn't run into him. I guess, there was a lot of galas and stuff and lots of businessmen around, and I know he is the owner of the organization. But I was unfortunately not one of the gals in the top, like the way that the running works. I think I placed like 41st. Part of that was I was very outspoken, and I kind of did my own thing, and that's kind of my nature. I just, I don't follow the crowd. So again, yeah, it was a great experience for me, but yeah, something I was glad to have done, but it didn't take me where I thought it was at the time.
Well, we're going to take a break for some messages and come back, and we're going to ask you about your current business, Eternal Beauty Institute. Stay with us, everybody.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you.
Well, welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. We're having a chat tonight with Barbara McBean, who's the president and CEO of Eternal Beauty Institute. She's just told us a little bit about her experience running a fruit market with her mom, then using that entrepreneurial experience to launch a chain or buy a chain of tanning salons. And then she went and competed in Miss Universe. But after that, she decided to launch into the beauty business with this company. And Barbara, tell us about the company and what it does, please.
Yeah, so Eternal Beauty Institute, and my apologies, these little earbuds are a little bit squishing my ears there. So Eternal Beauty Institute, we are basically a global certification body. So we have over 120 aesthetics, medical aesthetics programs, basic aesthetics, and we pretty much operate in every country in the world. We've taught thousands, tens of thousands of students, the likes of doctors, nurses, medical professionals, and they seek out our specific course format because, of course, we're always on the cutting edge. So I travel the world. I go to all the conventions, figure out what the hottest, latest, greatest beauty trends are. We're doing things like dermal fillers, Belkyra, the fat dissolving, anything, you name it, that's on the marketplace. We're going to be certifying or issuing the diplomas in that. And we do have 6 locations across North America, which are actually brick and mortar, huge, large campus locations as well.
That you own or you franchise or what?
So I actually started the entire franchise. A lot of work. I've written myself each and every manual. So all of our manuals, I would stay up till 3 a.m. at night, and I've created a complete e-learning portal. So we're one of the only schools I know that, in terms of beauty schools, that have such an extensive e-learning portal where students have access to live feeds. And obviously, I'm not that great at the live feed, but our design team and our software team are incredible at creating that. So in terms of the interview, I know that I'm a bit new to that portion of it, but when our students log on, it's very, very seamless for them.
How does one entrepreneur grow from being Miss Universe or a Miss Universe contestant and owning a chain of tanning salons to having a chain of 5 beauty schools?
Just a lot of hard work. I mean, I didn't really necessarily dabble into it thinking like this is what I was going to create, but I've always had a really strong work ethic. And if I'm going to do something, I'm a perfectionist. And I just always, every day I wake up with that attitude that I'm just going to make it better and better and better. And that's how it progressed. I also kind of followed the McDonald's format where I purchase all of my own buildings. So all of the buildings I've always bought. I just feel it's a good business investment. We have a new one, which hopefully we will go to today. That's 33,000 square feet. Really, really proud of this new project. So again, I think it's a bit of a story that can show what one person can do if they put their mind to it and if they just absolutely work 16 hours, 7 days a week and don't quit.
Fantastic. And so tell me, what are the different services? So you mentioned Botox. What else?
So we do teeth whitening, we do teeth gem application, we do all of the aesthetics courses. What else can I tell you? We do like permanent makeup. We have microblading, lash extensions, all of the skincare courses, any of the body contouring courses, radio frequency technology, slimming, hair restoration. So let's say you want to open your own hair restoration clinic, you name it, we do it. So there's really not any actual services in the industry that we don't teach. We have over 120 courses. So if you go online, you'll see an extensive range of courses. We also have courses in educator programs. So let's say somebody wants to go out and actually educate for another college. They can take that certification through us as well.
And where are your schools located?
So we have 4 schools in Alberta. We have 1 in Manitoba. We've got Michigan, 2 schools, and then also California, Los Angeles, and Hawaii. Now, some of the Hawaii location is seasonal. So I live in Maui 4 months out of the year. So when I'm there, that school opens up
You
again.
live in Maui 4 months a year. Now that's tough.
Oh, it's not so bad. It's actually great. I got my boat license last year, so I have my boat there, and I can go into the bay, and it's beautiful.
Fantastic. And this sort of trend to beauty, is it going to continue? Has COVID-19 impacted it? What do you think?
So, I mean, if you look back historically at the various periods throughout history, I definitely say women always gravitate towards beauty. I mean, even in the world wars, they would go buy lipstick before they would buy bread. Not that I'm saying that's a good thing, but certainly the beauty industry is here to stay. People want to look good. They want to feel younger. And I think even myself, as I march towards 40, when I'm up every day and feeling good about myself, that's one of my main mottos. I always dress to the nines every single day. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm going to put on my best because I feel better. I just feel like, what, if opportunity knocks and, then I'm ready for it. I'm dressed for it. It just makes me
So
feel
after 9/11, when the World Trade Center was attacked, supposedly the next day was one of the best days of lipstick sales, that a whole bunch of people were feeling lousy and depressed or down and went out and wanted a little pick-me-up, and the little pick-me-up was lipstick. So I can understand your comment about beauty and its longevity and resilience. That said, you know what? A whole bunch of people have been commenting about how they're at home and they're in their pajamas and they're not getting their hair done and they're not putting makeup on, and they actually kind of like it. So you don't
Yeah.
think that people are going to turn away from the beauty business?
Well, I think both points are valid. I think feeling naturally beautiful, that's an excellent way to live your life as well, but it's whatever works for you. So myself, I'm just speaking from my own experience. I like to always be polished and put together because I feel like I can conquer the world that way. And I actually just recently did a video on my YouTube channel, Inspire Me 360, so people can check that out there. And it's sort of about that. It's basically saying that when you're in your pajamas and your hair's all scruffy, how motivated do you feel? But if you've put on your diamonds and you've got your three-piece suit on or whatever it is, you are going to go kill the day. And so that's my philosophy. I'm up at 4:50 every morning. I jump on the treadmill. I'm ready to go, and I don't quit till 11 o'clock at night. So I just feel like too, it's also, I think beauty is a representation a lot of times of love. And I'll kind of digress on that, is that, when we feel like we look good, we're going to approach our spouses in a more upbeat way. We're going to feel happy towards the people that we're around. And when we feel like we kind of look frumpy, I think that it's kind of, you can get sort of a negative aura about yourself. I know I can. If I'm kind of in my frumpy clothes, I'm not as outgoing. I'm not going to be as much of a bubbly person with my spouse because I just kind of feel glum. So I think beauty is here to stay. And I think that beauty also can be associated with anti-aging, longevity, just that vibrance of your health as well.
Well, I think, frankly, I agree with you, even though I was challenging you. I get up and I get dressed, and I, even though I'm not going to the office anymore, I get dressed in work clothes and I walk my commute down to my office that I've set up in a separate room. And when I have a Zoom call, I put on a jacket and I feel more confident when I'm wearing a jacket, even if it's not a suit and tie. And so I think that, some of these people that have established routines, getting dressed, going to work, thinking about that work as being different than the bedroom or the dining room or the kitchen where the kids are and spouses are, et cetera, is a very helpful process, no question.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it goes a long way to talk about mental health. I know myself, I've dealt with mental health in the past. And one of the ways that I got past that was just, like you said, building those routines and creating the standards for myself that I'm not going to deviate from. It just keeps me on track.
So what about sort of beauty trends? Some people are suggesting that maybe we're going to go to a more organic or less artificial beauty trend, whether it be less Kardashian with implants and plumpers and things like that, into a more sort of authentic beauty. What do you think about that? Is that a trend that could happen?
Yeah, and I totally agree with that trend. I think you're going to feel more confident with yourself the less the less you change your appearance from the way that you actually look. I'm not a big fan of too many fillers. We always want to go on the natural side of things. With that said, I've also dabbled in the world of plastic surgery, so I know the negative connotations around that and some of the drawbacks of it. So, I hope to in the future speak out about some of those things, which I am very passionate about. And I think that young women and old women need to be informed about their decisions. And in the past, unfortunately, some of the companies, the pharmaceutical companies, haven't made us aware of what some of the actual risks to our health are.
So these are side effects from plastic surgery that you're concerned about?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. And I think
Such
that
as, can you
anybody,
give us an example?
okay, I will talk briefly about breast implants. Okay, breast implants, they are a foreign body that you're putting into your body. Now, generally, and with COVID, we're all learning about the immune system. Well, what does the immune system do when there's a foreign body in its organism? It's going to attack. And so what I truly believe, and there's actually a lot of women that would support this. There's a huge group on Facebook as well. And there's a growing movement that talks about breast implant disease. And that's actually essentially an autoimmune disease that is created from the breast implants being obviously surgically implanted into a female. And well, I guess it could be a female or male, depending on what they're doing there. But essentially, your body's just on attack mode all the time against these foreign bodies that you've implanted. And so there are a lot of side effects that women feel from them. I've been on these boards and blogs myself. I've had a lot of these symptoms. So I think it's something that should be discussed with a patient before they undergo surgery, so that they understand that, maybe the risks, and they're not just told this, flowery story of what's going to happen to them. They can actually make an educated decision with some of the experiences of women around the world that have had this procedure done.
The rumor about the Kardashians, I'm not sure if it's a rumor or whether it's truth, but implants in a lot of other places. What do you think about those?
You know what? Again, I would say the same thing. I think that there definitely are causes for concern for health issues. Do I think it looks great? I think it can look okay. I think you're better off always to just hit the gym and do some squats. Or, if you're looking at ab implants, quit being lazy and do some crunches. I like to work out. I like to be more on the natural side. I'm a raw vegan, so I eat very, very clean. I'm not saying that I don't do the odd beauty, odd beauty service. I get a very, very minimal amount of Botox. I would call it microdosing with Botox. I don't like the feel of a lot of Botox. So if I do it, it's very sparingly, and I want to be as healthy as possible. I don't want to stick a ton of stuff into my body that, my body's not used to dealing with. It's not natural. So even though we teach these things, that's one thing that I always grapple with, because I don't want to be affecting the generations or affecting the population in representing something that, I do call into question from my own moral standpoint as well.
Right. So diet and exercise are clearly, and good sleep are clearly things that you can do to help yourself. What about liposuction or things that cold sculpting or things like that for fat? What do you recommend there?
Okay, so again, I would always defer to a clean diet. I can tell you a bit of my background. When I was in university, I was quite chubby. I got, I was probably 40 pounds overweight. I lost all of my weight with just clean eating, and it came off super fast. And there was a raw vegan diet, and now I do not really have to work that hard. That's how I stay slim. Now, liposuction can be great. It has its applications. There's definitely people that need to undergo that surgery, people that have had pregnancies, loose skin. There are times when definitely you're going to have to go down that path, and there's no other really great option for you. Things like cool sculpting, again, they are effective, but you have to have multiple treatments to see results. This is not a one-shot deal. You may be getting a package of 8 or 10, and you have to do certain areas, right? So you can get a little bit of a divot if you just do one area and you're killing all the fat cells in that area. So you have to be ready to cough up some dollars if you're going to be having some of these treatments done.
Now, do you believe in, you're obviously a vegan, so maybe this is not relevant, but the keto diet or the any of these diets where you're staying away from carbs?
You know what? I go all natural. I don't particularly believe in them. My philosophy is Mother Nature knows best, and put as much raw living food into your body as possible. I can totally see a shift in my energy. If I'm eating completely raw, my energy is through the roof. I have springs in my shoes. I can just do amazing things. Plus, in terms of my ability to be irritable, I don't get irritable. And I think that's a big thing. I can handle a ton of stress. The minute I start eating anything processed or anything meat related, dairy related, I can get grouchy. And that's my first sign. If I'm not super happy, full of just joy, then something in my body in terms of my balance is off a little bit.
So you seem incredibly full of energy. You think it comes from your diet? Does that come from exercise? Does that come from genetics, personality?
Oh,
Where?
it's hands down my diet. Because I can give you a bit of my background, I wasn't always this way. When I was younger, I used to eat a lot of pizza and junk food and Slurpees and all that crap, basically. And I was tired all the time. I was fatigued. I would be grouchy. I had no motivation. So I went through that period of my life where I just couldn't even get out of bed before 10 in the morning. And it was all diet related. Obviously, exercise helps. It's great antidepressant. It makes you feel amazing, those endorphins in your body. But the first domino that has to fall 100% is your diet, because that gives you the energy to get up there and just want to move. As soon as you have those amazing micronutrients flowing through your veins, you can't help it. You're going to want to move. You're going to want to dance. You're just full of life. And then the other thing that happens, because it's not just your body, it moves all the way up to your brain. Your brain starts firing like crazy. You have all of these exciting business ideas. My creativity went through the roof when I went to the raw vegan diet. So I'm a huge advocate.
Well, this is inspiring. I'm going to have to change my my diet, I think. So I've historically been in the life sciences pharmaceutical business, and I can't tell you how many doctors and investigators on trials would say, look, if we only eat better, sleep better, exercise more, have some fun in life, that we would improve our lifestyle so much, and we wouldn't need a lot of the drugs that the pharmaceutical industry was producing, researching, and selling. So I do think that diet and exercise, along with the other things, are key. Anyway, we're going to take another break for messages and come back more with Barbara in just a minute. Stay with us. Well, welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. We're chatting with Barbara McBean, and she's walked us through how her entrepreneurial experience has developed over the years, from a suntan, from a fruit garden, fruit market, to a suntan or a tanning salon chain, to Miss Universe, to her current business, which is really beauty training schools across Western Canada and into the United States. And now online as well, with a YouTube channel and a lot of podcasts that would appear. But Barbara, maybe I can ask, you said that you had mental health issues, and a lot of people really go through challenges in life and find that those challenges sort of help them get motivated for the future. Can you share any of your story with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm kind of the idea that it doesn't really matter where you come from. You know what? At the end of the day, it's that spirit inside to just keep getting back up when you've been knocked down. I know that there was probably a good period of my life, probably about 8 years, where I went through a really, really rough patch. And again, my mental health was affected, and it was, a combination of things. So I was in university, I was competing for Miss Universe, I was volunteering, working, doing way too many things, probably burning the candle at both ends. And on top of it, unfortunately, my high school sweetheart, who was my fiance, ended up getting addicted to crack cocaine. I've never done drugs myself, so I wasn't in that bundle. But it was really difficult because I was trying to rescue somebody from an addiction that I had no control over. I lost my home. I had to declare bankruptcy. And then in the midst of all of that, I actually ended up having what they call a brief reactive psychosis. And for anybody that doesn't understand what that is, essentially what that means is that your brain just can't take it anymore. They don't really know why, but you have a psychotic break. And so I was actually hospitalized for 3 months in total. And it was kind of odd because I actually went into this state while at the Miss Universe pageant. And so when I got home within about 5 days, I was hospitalized. It was extremely surreal. It was very, very, difficult period of my life. So a lot of things that, I mean, you could take from Girl Interrupted with Angelina Jolie. I remember I had to spend a night in the padded room, and then I was strapped to a bed for 3 days. And
Oh my
a lot
God.
of, yeah, so a lot of things you wouldn't typically expect to have happen in your young kind of youthful years. But it taught me a lot about compassion. It made me realize that our brains are very, very fragile. We have to be careful. And it kind of spins back to what you were talking about with the pharmaceuticals. I was put on an SSRI very young. I really am completely against that class of drugs. I think if they're not monitored well by doctors, they can have a really negative effect on people's cognitive health. And so, but yeah, it was just a culmination of things for me. And I ended up, getting out of it one step at a time. So I actually, at a certain point through this period of my life, there was some sort of atrophy in my brain where I couldn't swallow anymore. So for about a year, I couldn't even swallow food. I couldn't even swallow my own saliva. So if you lose the mechanism in your throat to, do that gulping motion, you can't swallow anything, including your own saliva. So I was bedridden for about a year. It was really horrible. And I actually had to retrain myself to do absolutely everything, from like swallowing food to just walking around the neighborhood. So that was a lot of strength I got from that. And it also made me very resilient to when I come up against problems in life, because nothing compares to that. If I can get through that.
This is shocking. What got you through that? What, like, is it your personality, your parents, some friend? What got you through that?
You know what? It really was just myself. I have kind of a unique story in that sense, that I wasn't able to have anybody come visit me in the hospital due to the circumstance that I was in. And I actually just used cognitive behavioral therapy that I was learning at the time in university, because I was taking psychology before this all happened. And I would give myself tasks. So I would be like, okay, you need to walk around and put a whole bunch of sticks in a pile, and that's going to be your task for the day. And I'm going to be really proud of you. That's what I would tell myself, or just little tiny things. And it was just rebuilding a routine for myself and positive reinforcement. I'm big on the speech that we use to ourselves in our brains. Our self-talk is huge. So I am never going to cut myself down within my head. That little voice in my head, I am dedicated to remaining very positive. And I know probably anybody that's in the media, because obviously when I'm doing videos or if I post something, there's going to be a lot of negativity that comes with any of that, because there's those keyboard warriors out there that, want to take a dig at people. So you just have to let it wash over you. You can't take it personally, and you've got to believe in your, from your core, that you have something to give. And I absolutely think that my story can be inspiring to a lot of people.
It sounds like it should be. Cognitive behavior therapy is something that, is practiced a lot, but I've got a lot of people that have said, things like, daily mantras, journaling, as you said, positive reinforcement are the things in that help the most. What has helped the most for you?
I would say everything. You can't just use one thing, but I think something that anybody can do right now, like in the middle of a pandemic and COVID-19, daily affirmations. So there, you can log on to YouTube. You can listen to like a podcast for 20, 30 minutes when you're getting ready in the morning. And it's just going to actually teach your brain a dialogue on your subconscious level of, all of the positive things about yourself. It'll be somebody that's speaking to you, but that's going to hit your subconscious. And I listen to those almost every day. I pop in my earbuds, and it just reinforces to me the positive thoughts that I want to carry through my day. The other thing too that really hit me and made me feel really positive about everything around me in the world was, I was watching something online, and it was talking about courage, and that everything you see everywhere, somebody took the courage to make that thing possible, whether it's a chair, or whether it's a stoplight, or whether it's your breakfast cereal. That is somebody's passion materialized. So now when I look at the world, everywhere I look, I see courage, and I see and really courage springs from love. So if you can view the world in that way, it becomes such a beautiful place, and you kind of smile everywhere you go, because somewhere somebody's put their heart and soul into a piece of this world.
So the most of the people that come through situations like this have a doctor or a friend or somebody that helped you. You did this on your own.
I did. Yes, absolutely. And that's what I think, and I don't, I can't be a completely intuitive, but I think that I was able to get through it on my own so that essentially if I ever had the chance to share my story, and COVID-19 has been where I have started to share my story through Inspire Me 360, that there are going to be people that just due to life circumstances, they're not going to have those mentors. And I want to really speak to those people and say, don't give up, you can do it. Maybe you've come from a broken family, maybe you've come from a lot of abuse, maybe, you just grew up in a situation where if somebody was a drug addict or alcoholics, or there wasn't that positive reinforcement. But I believe authentically that can spring from yourself, and you can make that decision to completely change the landscape of your life and the trajectory of where you're going just by that simple belief in yourself.
Belief in yourself. I have to ask, what happened to the cocaine addict?
You know what? I don't see him anymore, but I wish him 100% well. I know that that's a very difficult path. And I think people that choose that path in their life, they have a lot of hardships and they go through a lot of really dark spaces. I wish that human being so well. Of course, that relationship is severed, and for good reason. We have to put up those boundaries when we have anybody in our life that is going down a negative path. I'm really about boundaries now. Absolutely.
I'm sorry, what do you mean about boundaries?
Just boundaries in the sense of if somebody's very toxic in your environment, or if somebody is doing something that's harming you or creating a negative aspect to your lifestyle or where you're going, you need to find a way to gently remove that person from your life and get away from that energy. Now, and let's say perhaps you are in a position where you're in an addiction and it's actually yourself that's kind of on that negative trajectory. You're really going to have a fight ahead of you. Unfortunately, with drugs and, serious drugs, it changes your brain chemistry. So you have a big fight, and you've got to really take it seriously and look at that head on. I believe people can change. I've seen people change, but I've seen a lot of people, unfortunately, in my life that have not been able to get over that road bump.
Right. So about a year ago, you had posted that you were having some more challenging times. Do you have recurrences of mental health issues, or just frustrations in life?
You know what? I definitely still struggle with things. Obviously, if I had, a mental health crisis to that degree, I'm not 100% better all the time. But I think now I manage it a lot better. I have a lot of better coping skills, but it's always a work in process, or the work in progress. So yeah.
So if you're speaking with young women who are going through some challenges, mental health or just challenges, what are your recommendations to them? What should they do?
I think, first of all, self-love is really important. Self-forgiveness. If something's happening, if you're having anxiety disorder, if you're having panic attacks, if you're in a depression, if you're just not feeling stable, give yourself a break. Okay. You don't have to be everybody else out there. Don't compare yourself to other people. You're on your own timeline. There may be a reason why you have to go through some of this struggle. It's going to build your character. I know if I hadn't gone through the things that I went through, I might not be such a compassionate, caring person. So what I actually gained from those struggles was such a grace in my own demeanor that maybe wouldn't have come about had I not traveled that path. Reach out to people, talk to people about what's going on. Some people will be receptive, some people won't. If you run into somebody in your life that's not receptive and not understanding of your mental health, because of course it's not like a broken leg, you can't see it, probably don't keep pressing that person. You need to find somebody that's understanding and that does appreciate the fact that mental health issues are real. Lots of great counseling. There's so many numbers that you can call. I know for a period of my life, I actually called some of those 1-800 numbers every day for like 6 months and talked to the wonderful people on the other end. They gave me strength, and that's what they're there for. So don't count them out or don't rule them out if you do need a little bit of assistance.
Well, frankly, it's hard to believe given the success that you've had in business and the growth of your operation and how you appear and sound like you're all together, that you had these problems. But you know, what's interesting is I've met a lot of people and interviewed a lot of people. I think some of the strongest people are the people that have gone through, whether it be addiction or mental health problems or tragedies in their lives or whatnot. And it is that terrible, experience in life that often leads us to become the people that we end up becoming. You know, it's ironic that I think it's something like 90% or 80% of U.S. presidents have ended up being people that have lost a parent in young age. So tragedy ends up often being a key to success longer term, or at least the courage to really go for it.
Absolutely. And that's really part of, I think the message is that it's in your hands. So there's two ways that you can look at anything that's negative in your life. You can become a victim and you can let it basically eat away at you, or you can become a warrior and decide that you're going to dig in and do whatever you need to do at all costs to build yourself strong. And that's what I work at every day. I don't get up assuming that I have, hit my finish line. It's a work in progress every day. It's something that I'm always going to be mastering and working on. And then also the servitude. I mean, I want to bring something valuable to the world. I don't work for monetary reasons. Hopefully, yes, I do earn some money and I'm doing, not too bad in that category at this point in my life, but that's not my foundation of why I get up every morning.
We're chatting with Barbara McBean. We've had an interesting chat about beauty, about her school, and now about her mental health challenges and how she's gotten through that and has accomplished great things. We're going to take a break for some messages, and we're going to be right back with you. Stay with us. Well, welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. We're chatting tonight with Barbara McBean. She's the president and chief executive officer of Eternal Beauty Institute and Plasma Lift. And she runs a chain of schools about beauty in Western Canada and Western United States. And she's got a fascinating life story. Barbara, it's been really quite inspirational listening to your story about how you've come through some of your challenges in life and built such a successful business. What do you think the future of the beauty business is? Is it a stellar business opportunity in the future, or what do you think is going to happen?
I think absolutely. I think though a lot of the industry is going to go more towards anti-aging for all of the baby boomers. So I think we really want to focus on longevity, and of course beauty is connected to longevity. I think natural beauty is something that is big. Everybody loves all natural, organic beauty. So that is something that I feel is a huge trend. Now, and I'm going to say, unfortunately, I think a lot of the younger generation and the millennials are gravitating to more of that Kardashian beauty.
Really? So, you think so?
Oh, 100%.
It's a very sort of artificial type of beauty, is it not?
It is for sure. And so trend wise, are we going to see a lot more of those big, puffed up lips and over exaggerated rear ends and just, a lot of plastic surgery on younger girls? I think yes. Okay. I think we are going to see that. I hope that we change that a little bit. I hope that humanity can go away from that, because I don't think that's a healthy version of beauty. I think, if you are changing everything about yourself, then, there's something broken inside. You've got to fix what's inside first. You can do minor adjustments to the exterior, but you don't want to change everything on the outside, or you're not you anymore. You're not that spark that makes you unique.
What's the future for you? What are your big dreams?
Oh gosh. Well, you know what? I can see lots of exciting things happening. Obviously, I have the new huge location, that 33,000 square foot location that we're renovating at the moment here in Calgary. I'm going to have a film studio in there. I'm going to be producing a lot of movies, short movies, things that are going to spin off into the YouTube channel. The other thing I'd love to get into, and I've always wanted to do this, was documentary film. but of course you have to have the resources to travel the world and do it correctly. I'm starting to hit that zone. I would think in the next 2 to 3 years where I will have all those resources in place. And then that is kind of my next endeavor. I'd love to get into documentary film. And maybe one of the first things I wanted to tackle was actually the topic of breast implants. So maybe that will be my first documentary compilation, if you would say.
You seem like an incredibly motivated person. What is motivating you? What is driving you? What is the why for you in life?
Oh, geez. I just want to do as much as I possibly can in my hopefully 100 years here on the planet. I know at a young age, especially, around the time that I got ill, I had to deal with my own mortality. I had to deal with it in a really real way. And I decided if I ever had the chance to move past, I was told at one point, very seriously by a group of doctors, that I would never make it past assisted living in a group home. So having somebody watch me at all times. And that I made a pledge to myself that if I ever could live life in a normal way, that I was going to do incredible things and I was never going to waste a moment of each and every day. And I've never looked back on that. And God has graced me with the ability to move past some of those challenges. And I'm not going to disappoint him. So
Awesome. You've got an incredibly inspirational story. I'll tell you one quick story about my beauty / fashion business connection. I was in a fashion show, if you can believe it, at one point in time. And I was walking behind the past winner, or the immediate winner of Canada's Supermodel, and asked her what her best suggestion was for how I should act on stage. And she said, the key is to stride strong, confident, and bold. Strong, confident, and bold. And it sounds like you've been striding strong, confident, and bold almost your whole life.
Yes, I would totally, absolutely agree with her. I think definitely, and as long as that confidence comes from the heart and not the ego, you're headed in the right direction.
If people want to contact you from your school standpoint or your website for your videos, how do they do that?
Absolutely. My channel with Inspire Me 360 has just launched, so you're not going to see like massive following there because it's only launched in the last like 4 or 5 days. Certainly you can go on there, tune into some of the videos. I'm hoping to put out 5 or 6 videos a week to inspire people to, talk to them about starting their own business, entrepreneurialism, mental health, anti-aging, just joy for life, relationship advice, everything that I've learned in my 38 years on the planet. So I do feel like I've gotten to be kind of a wise old lady. So I do want to share those things, with the world at large. And then of course, you can always go to www.eternalbeautyinstitute.com. There's contact information there. If for some reason you want to do an interview, or I've spoken obviously with my background with pageants. I've done a lot of public speaking. Always love that. Always love speaking in public. Love to inspire people. So you can contact me through the website. I know under my bio, I think my email's on there, but it's just Barbara@eternalbeautyinstitute.com. And yeah, I'm just very, very honored to be on the show and be able to share
Barbara
a little bit of.
McBean, it's been a pleasure getting to know you and having you on the show. So thank you very much. I've got a talk I do called Community the Power Co. It's about social capital because it was something that was really a driving force in my life and trying to figure out how people got through the tough times. And I talk in my talk, which is available on my website, about a lot of the same things that you're talking about. I talk about courage. I talk about commitment. I talk about connections. I talk about compassion. I talk about coincidences. And so I do think that there's a lot of things that people need to learn, look inside, love about themselves, and exercise, because we all go through the tough times. Life is not a straight line. Life is a mishmash as we go through life. And having that resilience, having that strength of character, having those people that can help us get through the tough times are key in life. And so thank you for your inspirational talk today, because I think it's going to motivate some people to get through their rough times. Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Brian.
Good evening, everyone, and join us again Monday through Friday at 6 o'clock, 960 AM or saga960am.ca. Good night.